Hi everyone, welcome to In His Love channel. How are you doing? Good? Awesome. Long time no see. How is life? How is the family? How is work? How have you been? Good? Well, thank God. So the gist going out this week is that Bishop T.D. Jakes has handed over his position to his daughter and his son-in-law. He has made them the senior pastors of his church, the Potter's House, officially. This Sunday that just passed. But I want to analyze the things that he said on the video. But before then, let's go ahead and watch the video and then we'll come back and talk briefly. Oh, and by the way, if you're new here, you're welcome to this channel. And my returning viewers, you're welcome. Also, thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing, and new subscribers, thank you. And if you're here, you haven't subscribed, do so and subscribe.
You all know for years I have been talking about it. It may not work out the way I plan it, but I get on my knees and pray, and I plan my life in decades. How many of you remember me saying that? Not days, but decades. Because major moves take time. It may look like it was suddenly, but you don't know what the background work was. About 6 years ago, I started talking to Pastor Torre and Pastor Sarah because I did not want all that I had spent my life and your life and our lives building to get old and go with us. This is a generational. I talked to the board because I was concerned. I have seen too many men build something and stay so long that they kill what they build. What you gotta understand is it's not so important that you just know when to grab a hold. It's knowing when to let go. But I cannot afford, especially after November, to risk something happening to me and you be sheep without a shepherd. I cannot afford to let all the work of all the saints living and dead to hold this so tight, so long, that I wither away. So I'm suggesting to you, I'm recommending to you that you receive Pastor Torre and Pastor Sarah Come on. Come on. This is legacy. Not because they're kin, but because they're the kind. They've immersed themselves into the DNA of this church. for years, sat quiet, preached. What you didn't know, from November forward, they've been running the church anyway.
Okay, we're going to analyze some of the things that he said, not everything. You know, I just picked a little stuff that we're going to analyze. So, first of all, you know, these mega churches and prosperity preachers and everything, they all usually tend to hand over to their children, you know, to the family, because, you know, we always say that this, what they do is a business. You know, church these days is a business, especially Pentecostal, faith-based, you know, prosperity preachers. For them is a whole business. So yes, who is he going to hand over to before? Of course, it's his daughter, it's his family. That I think they only have one child. That's Sarah Jakes. So he's handing over to her, and of course, you know, his son-in-law, to kind of look like, okay, there's a man involved, you know. So yeah, but he said these things like, you know, to me, these are just manipulation statements, you know, to make people feel like, oh, you know, he just didn't hand over to them, you know, just because, you know, this was something that was thought. In fact, in short, let's go to what he said. He said it may look like the decision was sudden, but you don't know what the background work was. And why didn't they know the background work? Why didn't you tell them? Why should it be a secret? You know, my church that I go to now, you know, when they handed over, the pastor that was there for years, when he handed over, it was done by voting. It was done by, you know, the whole church, the members of the people that are members of the church. They were allowed to vote, you know. I just didn't have the time. I would have been there to actually see how everything was done. But it was open. It was announced to everybody, and is run by pastors that are not the founders of the church. They are not related, nothing. And that church has been there, strong and standing for years. Big church. He said, all that I have spent my life and your lives building, that he did not want it to get old. You see the manipulation. My life and your lives building. You know, those saints that have been, the dead saints, that's dead members and living members, all that they have spent their lives building, does not want it to go waste. So the manipulation there is that he's putting them in it. You know, that's what they do. They will say our church, you know, our church. But really, it's their business. It's their business. And when it's time for them to go, you know, they hand it over. They keep it within the family. But I like some things that he said. You know, T.D. Jakes always says some really meaningful things, you know, in between all the manipulations and stuff. This is what he said here that I like, and I think our pastors need to sit down and take that in and think about it. He said, I have seen so many men build something and they stay too long that they kill what they have built. He said, it's not so important that you know when to grab a hold of something. It is also knowing when to let go. Don't this remind you of some of our pastors, our Nigerian pastors? They've been there for years, 40 years, 50 years. Pastor Adeboye is 80-something and he's saying, oh, you know, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to be digging silver or gold or whatever, he said. You know, he's not going anywhere. He has not retired. He doesn't know who to hand over to. Maybe he knows he doesn't want to do it. Like, you have to know when to let go. They don't want to let go. Why? Because of greed. Greed. even within the the family, they still don't know. And in fact, I don't know why he doesn't want to let go. And now he's catching everything that he has built, even though what he has built is all, manipulation, and using people's lives, for years. But he's catching it with all the things that he's saying, all the crazy testimonies and all the things that he's saying that does not make sense. Can you imagine saying they are going to be holding meeting in the moon? What is that? So, Nigeria pastors, listen to TD Jakes. Know when to let go. Let's continue. More manipulations of TD Jakes in this video. He said he cannot afford, especially after November, when he had that attack in the church. He said he cannot afford for something to happen to him and then he will leave the people without, like a sheep without shepherd. He said to let all the hard work of that, all his hard work and the hard works of the members, dead and alive, to go to waste. No, they cannot afford that. Excuse me, sir, don't you have board in the church board with elders and members and that can decide that if anything happens? Yes, it's good to plan ahead. Like he said initially that, he likes to plan in decades. He plans ahead. Good. So if you have church board, if God forbid that should happen, your church board should be capable enough to handle it. There should be procedures on how to go about a new pastor's, qualifications and, procedures that the pastors will have to go through, or we have to pass in order to elect a new pastor. So anyway, at the end of the day, he's suggesting to them, he said, I'm suggesting to you and I'm recommending to you that you receive Pastor Tori and Sarah as your new pastors. So what is a suggestion? Is a recommendation? No, it's supposed to be a system, it's supposed to be by election, or, like you don't just recommend. Of course, who is he recommending? His family, his child, his daughter, of course. Then he went to conclude the manipulation on the people. He said, not because they can, not because Pastor Tori and Pastor Sarah can, he said, but because they have immersed themselves into the DNA of this church for years. Excuse you? I'm sure there are some pastors that have immersed themselves, that were there since day one, even before they even thought of, Sarah was even growing up, Tori was still a little boy or whatever. I'm sure there are some pastors there like that. I'm sure there are other pastors that are not family, that are qualified, more qualified for this position, but no, the business stays in the family. Remember when Bishop David said, church is a business. That time he was firing pastors left, right, and center. And people were like, why did he do this? It was like, of course, church is a business. After all, Jesus said, I must be about my Father's business. So these people know what they are doing. You will be the one sitting there, wasting your life, helping them to build their empire. And at the end of the day, they keep it in their family. Be wise, guys. I'll let you watch the rest of the video. Remain in his love. Take care of yourself. Serve God. Serve Christ. Serving Christ is simple. Serve Christ. Do his work. And take care of yourself and your family. Very important. So, guys, watch the rest of the video. CDO handing over proper. Leave your thoughts. Leave your comments. Whatever you think, leave it there. And remain in his love. I'll see you on my next video. God bless you. Bye for now.
But I wanted to introduce to you your pastors.